Hey everyone out there watching, it's JT from Keystone Crew Outdoors. Welcome back to Keystone Crew's Bassmaster Fantasy Fishing Pick Show. As always, thank you for tuning in and your continued support of the channel. We're here to give you our advice for your lineups for Rapala Bassmaster Fantasy Fishing, Falcon Rods Bassmaster Drain the Lake Challenge, and TH Marine Bassmaster Pick'em Challenge for Lake St Clair and Macomb County, Michigan from August 7th through the 10th, 2025. We'll also take a real quick look at how our picks fared at the last event at Lake Tenkiller. Chances are, if you're watching this, you're already playing fantasy fishing, are part of our group, and are hopefully a subscriber. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, I'd appreciate it if you did, especially if you like the content or use the advice we give in our pick videos here. Also, if you wanted to sign up still, the ship is kind of sailed. There's 2 events left, but you can head on over to bassmasterfantasy.com and sign up there. We do have a group, but it's closed right now, so I'm not going to tell you go searching for it. Before we jump into the picks for Lake St. Clair, I want to recap how our picks did at the last event at Lake Tenkiller for Rapala Fantasy Fishing, Falcon Rods Drain the Lake Challenge, and just a quick peek at our TH Marine Pick'em Challenge, as well as do our leaderboards for the Keystone Crew group. The event seems like it was forever ago, so I'll try to be real quick with this recap. If you had a perfect roster, this is what it looked like. Trey McKinney finished 6th, Wes Logan finished 1st, KJ Queen 8th, Keith Combs 7th, and Brandon Card 4th. The winning weight was 63 pounds 0 ounces. We predicted 60 pounds 13 ounces, so we were in the ballpark but not exact. Here's how our Bucket A power rankings finished. Our top ranked angler Jay Przekurat had a very uncharacteristic performance with a 50th place. If you went with Trey McKinney, you were happy though with the 6th place finish. He was our highest ranked finisher in the power rankings for Bucket A. In Bucket B, our power rankings finished like this. Our top ranked angler Corey Johnson finished 43rd, and our 3rd ranked angler Kyle Welcher finished 3rd. In Bucket C, we had Jason Christie finish 90th, and our highest finisher in C was Carl Joachimsen with this 22nd place finish. So it was a very tough bucket for us in Bucket C. In Bucket D, our top ranked angler was Cody Huff, and he finished 55th. And our 5th ranked angler, Greg Hackney, finished 15th. Dakota Ebear had a decent tournament with 16th place finish as well. So a little bit better in that bucket. And finally, in Bucket E, we had Chris Zaldane finish 39th, which is decent, but our 2nd ranked angler, Brandon Card, finished in 4th. So I really should have had him ranked a little bit higher, I think. I don't know this season. It's just kind of screwy. If you went with all the top ranked anglers from our research picks, you had a rough one with Jay Przekurat 50th, Corey Johnson 43rd, Jason Christie 90th, Cody Huff 55th, and Chris Zaldane 39th. This season's so screwy it doesn't even make sense. This lineup is like a murderer's row of bass anglers. If you show that list to anyone who knows the sport and told them the highest finisher would be 39th, they'd think you were crazy, but here we are, so it is what it is, I guess. Here's how our Drain the Lake finished up. Brandon Card saved the day with that 4th place finish, and Carl Joachimsen helped out a little with that 22nd place finish. Everybody else, nothing really to write home about. Our TH Marine Pick'em finished like this. Our TH Marine meter is sitting at a 68.6%. All right, now let's take a look at our overall leaderboard for Rapala Bassmaster Fantasy Fishing through 8 events. We've got T-Man 1992, T. Lindstrom in 1st, Clayton Terry, C. Terry in 2nd, Beagle Dog XXX, D. Fink in 3rd, Unroe 1345, C. Unroe in 14th, or in 4th, I'm sorry. And rounding out the top 5, Saluki Hawk 12, B Hawk in 5th. If you use the top ranked anglers and Keystone Crew power rankings, you're sitting with not great 76.7% meter. I wish we were a little bit better than that. Certainly we're used to being in the 90s, so just a tough, weird, screwy season. Our top-ranked player in the Keystone Crew Fantasy Fishing Group for the 8th event at Lake Tenkiller was Hope Seavolt with a score of 1,225 for the event. Congratulations on winning our 8th prize of the season for Rapala Fantasy Fishing. Since the event was a while back, you already have your prize, but I still wanted to do your shout out on here for you. And through 8 events, here's what our overall leaderboard looks like for Falcon rods during the Lake Challenge. We've got LA Rams Fishing Team, B. Johnson in first, CJ's dad, C. Edney in second, Kid Iraq, R. France in third, Mitney, W. Judy in fourth, and rounding out the top 5, Saluki Hawk 12, B. Hawk in fifth. If you use the Keystone Crew during the lake picks all season, you're sitting with an awesome 99.6% meter, which is good for 102nd out of everyone playing. We're doing much, much better in Drain the Lake Challenge than in fantasy fishing. So I'm hoping to focus and not stumble in the last 2 events here. Our top-ranked player in the Keystone Crew Drain the Lake Challenge group for the 8th event at Lake Tenkiller was Spot On 5, Tony Andrews, with a score of 2,030. Congrats on winning our 8th prize of the season for Falcon Rods Drain the Lake Challenge. Since the event was a while back, you also already have your prize, but still wanted to make sure we did our shout out to you on here for the channel. Speaking of prizes, let's see what Katie picked for Lake St. Clair's prizes. Alright guys, we're going to see what we have for our next event at Lake St. Clair out of our Miles Appliance bag of prizes. I gotta admit though, it's getting a little slim, 2 events left, so let's see what we got. It looks like you guys are playing for a Rapala slab wrap in this next event here. So one of these could be yours. They're really good on the river with smallmouth. I even caught some trout with them. This week we're playing for Rapala slab wraps. So got them right here. You guys could be going away with one of these. They're pretty good on the river. I've used them and have caught smallmouth and even actually some trout on them. So they're a nice little versatile lure there. Now that we know what we're playing for this event, let's jump into the 9th stop for fantasy fishing and 8th on the elites, Lake St. Clair. Located about 6 miles northeast of Detroit, Lake St. Clair lies between the Canadian province of Ontario and the U.S. state of Michigan. It was named in 1679 by French Catholic explorers after St. Clair of Assisi, on whose feast day is when they first discovered the lake. Lake St. Clair is actually part of the Great Lakes system. With St. Clair River and Detroit River, Lake St. Clair connects Lake Huron to the north with Lake Erie to the south. There's a total surface area of about 430 square miles and an average depth of just 11 feet. In order to ensure an uninterrupted waterway, the U.S. and Canadian governments have maintained a 30 feet deep shipping canal through the shallow lake for more than a century. Lake St. Clair is one of the premier stops in the Midwest. It's one of the top smallmouth fisheries in the country. In 2020, Lake St. Clair produced a top 10 that you needed to crack 80 pounds to be part of, with the winning weight being 86 pounds 7 ounces. In 2023, Joey Cifuentes won with 91 pounds 8 ounces. Most of the anglers went to Anchor Bay during this event, where huge forward-facing sonar bags were consistently caught. Joey decided, though, to find this area all to himself, which really paid off for him. His 4-day limits weighed 22.10, 24, 21.1, and 23.13. And he ultimately won with that 91 pounds 8 ounces. He did most of his damage there with the drop shot. In July of 2024, so about a year ago, Elite Pro Przekurat won the St. Croix Bassmaster Open there with a 3-day winning weight of 75 pounds 7 ounces. Like Cifuentes in 2023, Jay did most of his damage with a drop shot, but instead of targeting summertime pattern bass, he went to Anchor Bay to get the winning weight. Now that the history lesson's over, let's jump into our research picks. Our research picks are based on different articles I read and videos I watch from the different Bassmaster pundits. It's really the last push for you guys with 2 events left, so hopefully we can make your season and not break it at the end. So let's jump into it. In bucket A, I've got Przekurat, 26.1% owned. Taku Ito, 12.2% owned. Chris Johnston, 29.8% owned. Trey McKinney, 16.3% owned. And Bob Downey, 0.7% owned. The crew's pick, though, is Przekurat with 26.1% owned. On to bucket B. In bucket B, we've got Cooper Gallant, 11% owned. Corey Johnston, 41.3% owned. Easton Fothergill, 24.4% owned. Emil Wagner, 0.4% owned. And Luke Palmer, 0.9% owned. The crew's pick, though, is Cooper Gallant with that 11.0% owned. In bucket C, we've got Alex Redwine, 9.9% owned, followed by Joey Cifuentes, 13.6% owned, Andrew Loberg, 1.3% owned, Brandon Polinick, 31.5% owned, and Pat Schlopper with 14.9% owned. The crew's pick, though, is Alex Redwine with that 9.9% owned. On to bucket D. We've got Jacob Foutz, 30.8% owned. Brandon Card, 3.6% owned. Bo Browning, 2.9% owned. Cody Huff, 12% owned. And Stetson Blaylock, 7.8% owned. The crew's pick, though, is Jacob Foutz with that 30.8% owned. On to bucket E, our final bucket. Well, I'm going with a homer here, guys. Jonathan Kelley, 1.9% owned. Followed by Chad Pipkins, 7.9%. Alex Wetherill, 4.2%. Jeff Gustafson, 53.4%. And finally, Matty Wong, 1.2% owned. The crew's pick, though, like I said, he's a homer. He's a Northeast PA guy. I'm going with Jonathan Kelley with that 1.9% owned. Also, Matty Wong, I love Matty. I really hope that he does well. And I would love to see Jonathan Kelley and Matty Wong pull together and hang on to their Elite Tour card. Tie-breaking weights, I'm going with 91 pounds, 14 ounces. Guys, I got that based on averages from the last data I found on tournaments and stuff. I don't know if that's too high or too low, but I pretty much just averaged the winning weights from the last 3 tournament data points that I could find and did it based on average bags per day. So a quick recap here. Our picks. In bucket A, we had Przekurat. Bucket B, Cooper Gallant. Bucket C, Alex Redwine. Bucket D, Jacob Foutz. And bucket E, Jonathan Kelley. On to Falcon rods during the Lake Challenge. Our other main fantasy game, Drain the Lake's an elimination style game where you can only use the angler once all season. Once you use them, they're gone and you can't use them again. So hopefully you saved some smallmouth hammers for this one. I know I did. We're going with Joey Cifuentes, Jacob Foutz, Cooper Gallant, Taco Ito, Chris Johnston, Jonathan Kelley, Jay Przekurat, and Alex Redwine. I don't know about you guys, but I think that sounds like a pretty good lineup for a smallmouth fishery. On to our last and final game. We don't do leaderboards or award prizes for this one, but TH Marine Bassmaster Pick'em Challenge. Matchup 1, top 2 in Angler of the Year, Jay Przekurat versus Chris Johnston. It's a tough one because they're two of my favorites, but I'm sticking with Jay Przekurat. Just because I'm picking him in my regular game. Matchup 2, former St Clair champions. We got Jason Christie versus Joey Cifuentes III. I'm going Jason Christie here, even though I had him ranked ahead of Cifuentes. Matchup 3, rookie wrangle. Tucker Smith versus Paul Marks. I'm going Paul Marks. Matchup 4, Smalley Hammers. Taco Ito versus Corey Johnston. Another really tough one because I love them both so much. But since they're not going to Smallmouth Disneyland, this is just as good. I'm going with Taco. Matchup 5, Surging in AOI. We got Trey McKinney versus Patrick Walters. It's tough to go against Trey McKinney, so I'm going with Trey. Matchup 6, Michigan versus Ohio. Chad Pipkins versus Alex Redwine. I know I picked Redwine earlier in things, but I'm going with Chad Pipkins because it is his home. Let's look at matchup 7. It says Run It Back. Wes Logan versus Andrew Loberg. I'm going Wes Logan here. That'll wrap it up for our fantasy games for the 9th stop of the fantasy season, Lake St. Clair. Remember, you guys are playing for Rapala Slab Wraps. I think we got them upside down. There we go. Now they're right. Good luck to all you out there. I'll leave you guys with Angler's career stats from before the start of the 2025 season. As always, I'll catch you next time.